Hello and welcome to this online lesson. My name is Mr. Hovind, and today we are going to be looking at the Watergate scandal, which occurred during President Richard Nixon's presidency. We'll be looking at what happened leading up to the election of 1972, how it all came out, what the charges were. We'll also look at his impeachment and later his resignation from the presidential seat. So let's go ahead and get started. So leading up to the election of 1972, Nixon was really apprehensive and worried about his chances to win re-election. The war in Vietnam was still going on, which many Americans opposed. And the United States was facing economic problems, which also did not put him in good standing with most of the American public. And he wanted to ensure that he would be re-elected. So how did he do this? Well, he began campaigning against his enemies. In an effort to win the election, he and his supporters crossed the boundaries of the law. So they went beyond just the mudslinging that usually goes on with campaigns. They broke the law in order to ensure a Nixon victory. In 1971, Nixon asked his aides for an quote-unquote enemies list. Individuals that opposed him, especially in the government, electoral college, or people that may keep him from winning the White House. He ordered the FBI and the IRS to investigate people on this list. He believed that those who opposed him and his policies were a danger to national security. So again, he's really starting to cross the line, breaking the law in order to ensure his victory in the election of 1972. And despite all his paranoia, he wins the election of 1972 by a landslide. The Democratic Party was split and not united, so he ends up pulling out a massive victory. And it seems to be smooth sailing for his next 4 years or his first 4 years as president. First 4 years, not next. First 4 years as president. And everything was going very well until the Watergate scandal broke later on in June 1972. In June 1972, Nixon's re-election committee had 5 men break into the Democratic Party's office. This was located at the Watergate apartment complex in Washington, D.C. The burglars set out to collect information about the Democrats' campaign. They placed bugs in phones and throughout the office to listen in on conversations and to monitor what the Democratic Party was up to. Again, starting to break the law in order to ensure a victory. So the burglars were caught by security and later arrested by police. Reports then surfaced that the men had been paid by Nixon's campaign using White House funds. A big no-no. Nixon denied any involvement whatsoever. And as the investigation proceeded, one of the men admitted to being paid by a White House aide to plead guilty and remain silent. So he let it out that he was paid to plead guilty, keep silent, and not indicate that Nixon was involved whatsoever with this scandal. In May 1973, the Senate began hearings on Watergate. These revealed the inner workings of Nixon's White House. And a White House official claimed Nixon directed it, but he had no evidence. So in July 1973, as the investigations are still continuing and they're beginning to uncover more and more information, investigations uncovered a taping system that recorded all of Nixon's conversations in the Oval Office and other parts of the White House. They asked him to turn over the tapes, and he refused to hand them over, claiming executive privilege. This was the principle that White House conversations should remain private. Again, executive privilege, Nixon claimed. You cannot take the tapes. You don't deserve them. You shouldn't have them because it's the principle that my tapes, what I say and what I say with people in my White House, should be kept private. Nixon had several officials fired for helping with the investigation, and he appointed new ones. And at this time, his vice president, Spiro Agnew, resigned for taking bribes when he was the governor of Maryland. So the Nixon cabinet is beginning to crumble and splinter. Now, the Speaker of the House, Republican Jerry Ford, became the vice president. Again, keep in mind, what is the line of succession? President, then vice president, then Speaker of the House. So impeachment. Nixon eventually handed over some of the conversations, but they were all edited. He had picked and chose which pieces of the tapes would go, and they had eliminated some evidence that would maybe have indicated him in this scandal. So the government quickly encouraged him to turn over all the tapes. He eventually did. And the House Judiciary Committee voted to impeach or bring formal charges against Nixon. Remember, impeach does not mean remove from office. It simply means you're bringing formal charges against the president. The tapes prove Nixon ordered a cover-up of Watergate. Nixon resigned in disgrace, and Jerry Ford is sworn in as the new president. That about wraps things up for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.